All right. What's going on, guys? Ray Yorks back here with another edition of the Third and Long Pick Six Show, Week 2 NFL picks. Hope you joined me last week. 4-2 week to start the season, getting off on the winning ways, and it was a tremendous start to the season. So, excuse that call real quick, but anyways, so as I said, 4-2 to start the season. It was a great week. Don't forget to go follow me at The Real Ray Yergs on Twitter and on YouTube. You'll see most of my content on my YouTube channel. Really appreciate the support. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go check out this week's Week 1 recap. Give you some tidbits as to what I thought happened in the NFL this week and what can happen going forward. So, with that being said, let's get into this week's NFL picks. Listen, Lions looked really strong last week against the Eagles, especially against a tough Eagles defense, okay? They play hard. They play hard for Campbell, and it's going to be interesting to see where they go forward going with this. I do like them on the spread, getting less than 3 points, but that's not where the pick is this week. I love the over 48.5 against Washington. I feel that the Lions are continue the trend, continue on the over trend, and given the fact that Washington can still move the ball, they looked pretty good against the Jags, given the fact that they did play the Jags. But I like that Washington should be able to put up just as many points as Philadelphia can. I like to see where these two teams head going forward. It's going to be interesting to see in the next 3 or 4 weeks the dynamic of these two teams to see where they're going to be falling in within the division. Especially Washington, it's going to be interesting, especially the way that the Cowboys have kind of faltered out now because Dak's going to be injured and he's not going to be there. So the division's a little bit up in the air. I mean, I did pick the Eagles to win it, but Washington could sneak in if they continue to play strong. So that's why I think it's going to be interesting to see where they go the next couple of weeks. But I love the over in this game, over 48.5 for the Lions and the Commanders. Listen, Bucs headed on the road to the Saints. I know it's very tough for Tom Brady. It seems like he has struggled immensely against the Saints, but strong showing last week against the Cowboys. Saints looked a little rough coming out of the gate against the Falcons. They did pick up the win late, but not a good show against a very poor Falcons team. And now they're at home against the Buccaneers team who's 20 times better than the Falcons. Only given 2.5 here for the Bucs. I'm taking minus 2.5 on the Bucs here. This is my favorite pick of the week. This is, to me, this pick should be more in the 5 or 6 range. I feel like we're getting a tremendous amount of value here. What more can I say? I mean, it's Tom Brady. We got Mike Evans. It's going to be very tough for the Saints to keep up with the Bucs. I think that Tom Brady gets over the hump on this one, gets a victory over the Bucs finally, since he's moved to the NFC. I love minus 2.5. What more can I say about Tom Brady? Saints poor start, didn't really look good against a poor team. I feel like this is a big step up for them, and I don't think they're going to be able to compete at the moment. 2.5 Bucs, my favorite pick. I love it. Colts Jags over 44.5. Both teams are going to be able to put up points. Listen, the Colts put up a ton of points against the Jaguars all the time. Pittman does not look like he is going to play this week, but I don't think that's going to be a factor. I think that Matt Ryan is going to throw the ball 50 more times on top of the 50 he threw last week. So I think Matt Ryan is going to throw 100 times this week. Don't get me started on that. If you want to check it out, go see my rant video on my Week 1 recap, more about Matt Ryan there. But I do like where they are offensively against the Jags, especially when Washington was able to put up as many points as they did against the Jags. The Jags tend to keep up with the Colts. So I like to see where they go moving forward. I actually like Jacksonville's offense a little bit more this year than I did last year. So I feel that they're going to be able to put up the numbers, and I think the Colts are going to be able to put up more because they tend to blow out the Jags from time to time, even though we could not get that Week 17 victory against them last year to make it into the playoffs, but that's okay. I like where we're at this year. I like the over 44.5. I feel that this is too short of a number. and I'm sticking with over 44.5. Listen, Cards heading on the road to Las Vegas. This is another over, screams over. I love this matchup. This is another good matchup, week 2 matchup. Cards have a tough schedule coming off to start the season. Coming off a loss, very difficult. Raiders coming off a loss too. This one's really tough, in my opinion, as to who's going to win the game, but I like the points being put up. 51.5. It is a little high, but I believe that they could both get there. We fell short on the pick of the Raiders last week on the over against the Chargers. I think if we get there this week, mainly because Chargers' defense is way better than the Cardinals' defense. Cardinals have a lot of problems on offense, given the fact that Mahomes blew them up last week. I think they're vulnerable in the secondary, and I think Adams is going to be able to have a big game this week. I'm predicting over 150 with at least 2 touchdowns for Adams at home for the Raiders. I think the Raiders do get away with the victory, but I love the over. I think they're going to put up points. I think the Raiders can put up at least over in the 30s, just like Mahomes did, blowing them out. I think if we get into the 30s, Cardinals will do enough to try and keep up with them, and we will get over the 51.5. Love that pick too. 2 games, 2 road dogs coming up in the last 2 picks here. This is, to me, they're getting a lot of points. There's a lot of dogs screaming in the NFL this week, given that their road matchups. There's a lot of big-time points here, and I love the Seahawks at plus 9.5. Listen, I know we're going to be talking about how they had a big victory against Denver last week on Monday Night Football, which it was huge for Seattle. But San Francisco did not do enough to me to say that they should be given 9.5 points here. Given the fact that they are at home, I know that it was poor weather conditions. It was a sloppy game in Chicago, but they still, that just shows that they did not really prove enough to me yet, especially going back to the preseason and some of the games that Trey Lance did play last season. Plus 9.5 here. I like this matchup a lot. I think that the Seahawks are a sneaky team in these types of situations where they're going to do enough in a divisional game to get within the number. And plus 9.5, I like it. I'm taking the Seahawks plus 9.5 on the road in San Francisco. If you can get it even higher at plus 10 or more, if the line moves that way, grab it. This is to me, this is great value for the Seahawks. I think that we're overselling the 49ers in this position with Trey Lance, especially with those stripper videos coming out recently. I don't know what that's all about, but they just haven't proven enough to me. There's not that much I can say positive about the 49ers when I can say a lot about positive about the Seahawks, especially playing against a really good Denver team on Monday Night Football. Geno Smith was able to do enough, especially in the passing game. The defense stepped up big time, and I don't see why they can't do it here. Divisional game, plus 9.5. I like it. Last one, another divisional game. This one's tough for me too. If you go watch my preseason recap as to where I position all the playoff teams and who I think my Super Bowl winner is, this is another matchup. Bears on the road, Sunday Night Football at Green Bay. This is another tough one. I like the Bears at plus 9.5 here. Also, I think this is too many points. Lazard's possibly not playing this week. The Packers have struggles at the wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers might end up abandoning them again as they did last week. It's hard for me to say that because I've put the Packers in such high value this year that these first 2 weeks might end up changing my mind as to where I think that they should be. It's going to be tough. I know it's at home for Green Bay. I know that they tend to really, really shove it down the Bears' throats, but I don't think that it's going to happen in this game. I think this is too many points. I think the Packers will get away with the victory, but the Bears are going to do plenty. They're still solid on defense. Justin Fields looks really good going forward on his, he looked tremendous in my opinion in week 1. Bad weather conditions, but he did enough, and I think he's just going to continue to grow. I think they have a great position to put themselves in. This is a big game for the Bears, and I think that they get within the number plus 9.5. I like it. Quick recap: Lions, Washington over 48.5. Bucks minus 2.5. My favorite pick of the week. Colts, Jags over 44.5. Cards, Raiders over 51.5. Seahawks plus 9.5. Bears plus 9.5. 4-2 last week. Let's continue the winning trend, and let's cash some tickets. Don't forget to go check me out at The Real Ray Yergs on Twitter, on YouTube, and give me some likes, subscribes, and I appreciate the support. Let's grab some winners.